Hello. Hi, everybody. Good to see ya. Good to see you, Julia Masalska. Am I saying I'm saying your last name right? Masalska, right?
Yeah, Masalska. Yeah.
Got it. Oh yeah. I just had to do a double check. Good to have you here. This is awesome. I'm so happy to host you as we dive into creating a personal brand identity with you, which will be fun. So feel free to say hello in chat. Good to see you here, Nick and Mallory and Madi and Andreas. Good to have you here. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, let everybody know what we're doing today and tomorrow, right? We have you for 2 days.
Yeah,
right,
right.
Julia?
Today we're going to be starting off with Illustrator, and tomorrow we're going to do some Illustrator, but also some XD, which I'm really excited about.
Very cool. Yeah, I think it sounds like a lot of fun. I'll just kind of quickly click through the schedule if you don't mind. Zoop. So yeah, big thank you to Evan Abrams and Voodoo Val this morning. They had a Getting Started Creative Challenge, some photo editing with Andre Laro, and then we're going to be reviewing the Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge submissions that Andrew just talked about. So that'll be fun. But Julia, we get you for 2 hours, which is awesome today and tomorrow, and then some XD and drawing along with Kyle Webster. And then little Voodoo Val as well. Looks like she's going twice today, doing double duty. So that's cool.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's that. That's all about them. I want to hear about you, Julia. I'm actually sharing your screen right now. So zip you over here.
Yeah, I was about to move over, but you already moved me over.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, guys, for all of you who don't know me, which probably will be the rarest case because I'm on here quite often. My name is Julia Masalska. I'm a graphic designer. I'm doing branding and packaging. And I also do educational content. I have my own YouTube channel. So make sure to check that out. And yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at Julia Masalska. This is where you'll find all the cool things and the cool things that are coming up after I'm going to do my rebrand, which is what we're going to be working on today and tomorrow. I'm really, really excited about working on my personal brand. I have created branding for myself multiple times already, and you never find enough time to pay enough attention to the detail. Usually it's just things that you kind of put together really quickly and then you reuse them over and over. So that's how I felt. Let us know in the chat if you guys already created your own personal branding before and how many times, because I know many designers reinvent themselves quite often and change their fields and so on. So those things usually change quite a lot. So yeah, today we're going to be talking all about personal branding. What is personal branding? Why to create a personal brand? And we are also going to be working on my personal branding, creating a library, creating some assets. And tomorrow we are going to be using those assets to create some templates for my social media and some really, really fun stuff, to kind of create myself a little assets that I can use in the future. So that's going to be super, super fun. All right, Paul, do you have anything you wanted to add to the intro? Otherwise, I'll just get started.
Yeah, no, I think it's awesome. I think creating your own personal brand is sometimes the easiest and the hardest thing you'll ever do. So, I mean, would you agree? It seems like it's easy. You're like, but then you start to realize maybe you're your own worst critic sometimes.
Yeah,
does that seem to be the
exactly.
case?
So the thing is that the easiest thing to create your own brand is to take the things that you already like, just put them together, take the different typefaces, colors, and shapes, and just put them together, and that will be your branding. But the hard thing is to see yourself from a perspective of a person who's not you, right? So I think about myself, I see myself differently than everybody else does. And also my strategy, who do I want to attract as a designer, or as a, as a freelance designer, or as an educator. I'm currently building my presence on Instagram, and also I have a YouTube channel, which I also try to kind of gain a certain audience that I want to attract. So it's very important to kind of communicate with the right visuals, the right colors, the right messages, and this is what we are going to be talking about today, guys. So I'm really, really
Yeah.
excited about that.
Yeah, I am too. I think this is going to be really fun. And it's something that everybody can take from, because everybody kind of has their own personal brand, where they realize it or not, you do have a personal brand. So this is just like
Yeah.
recognizing it and making something awesome. Also, if you're joining us over on YouTube, come over to behance.net/Adobe Live, because that's where we're watching chat. And we'd love to have you there. So thanks everybody for hanging out with us.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
So yeah, let's jump into that. Let's jump into the question, what actually is a personal brand and why do we need a personal brand? So these days, it's not only possible to brand products, but also to brand people. As you know, on Instagram, there are some celebrities, and you might notice that they're always using a similar style of photography, similar designs in their advertisement. And this exactly that is the branding. And in addition to that, branding is also the message that they're trying to convey to their following, right? So some celebrities have the message that they kind of help certain organizations, or that they're trying to create some value in their environment, posting certain messages, certain political messages, and so on. That all is part of the personal branding, the brand message. So this is also a very, very important part, how you communicate, not only what you say, but also how you communicate it. So personal branding is usually good for you if you want to gain recognition in your industry, if you want to gain credibility, because if you are always delivering things that are cohesive and they look kind of similar, that they look like they belong together, that gives you a certain image, right, online. And people see you, they recognize you, they give you credit, they trust you because they know what to expect from you, right? And for a person, it's always very important to have their expectations met. So let's say I am a social media star and I'm posting every single day and I'm quite active, and suddenly I'm gone for a month. Everybody will be disappointed because they are not getting their expectations met. They're not, suddenly are not getting the information that I've been getting before. So another thing about personal branding is that you can promote what you stand for. So for me, I am a freelance designer, but also I'm an educator, and I really love inspiring young individuals to learn design and to learn design tools, design software, and so on. And then a personal brand is also a definition of a target audience. So it's the moment, a personal brand is when you kind of specify, when you define yourself, how you want to be perceived by others, right? So the definition of what kind of people you want to attract to your group, right? At this time, in my target audience are other freelance designers, other design educators, and just people who are just generally changing careers or starting off in design. So that's my very, very clear target audience, and also the majority just of the people that are following me and that I interact with. So this is kind of to clarify what a personal brand actually is. Then another cool thing is that you guys really, really helped me with yesterday on Instagram. I asked you guys to kind of get this idea of what you think of me and how you perceive me. So I asked you to submit adjectives that will describe me as a person and as a designer. So this is the list that came about, which is pretty interesting. Everything's very positive. I was kind of thinking that there might be something, maybe I'm too annoying sometimes, or I'm posting too much, or I'm leaving and I'm gone for multiple days. So it was a lot
And
of, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no. And this is really good to do. I think this really is kind of, would you say this is kind of where your brand, unquote, unquote, is at like now, currently? Is that basically
Exactly.
what the result is?
Exactly.
Sweet.
This is kind of for me to get this mirror, to get this image of how you guys perceive me, and this is who I'm designing for, right? I'm designing for my audience. I'm designing for the people who surround me, my following, and so on. So getting that feedback can be really, really helpful. And if you're working on your personal branding, you can also get your feedback from friends, from family. Try to get an idea of how they perceive you and try to put it into words like we did here. Adjectives usually describe the best because they can be literally translated into visual elements that we're going to be kind of trying to get out of this. So these adjectives that maybe describe me as a person, but also they can be characterizing the typefaces that I'm going to be using or the colors that I'm going to be using for my personal branding, right? So I need to keep these adjectives in mind. And as you can see, we have words like bold, colorful, intriguing, modern. That can already give me a really good idea of how to design to kind of maintain this image. Another thing is that you need to consider that you might change your target audience in the future, right? So this is my current target audience. This is how they see me. But what if I don't want to be seen like that? What if I want to be seen more elegant, more serious, more like a businesswoman, and not much as fun and inviting and creative and stylish, right? So this is kind of what you're playing with as a starting point, but then you can also take it further and you can take this information and build upon it and try to rebrand yourself if that's your goal. But in my case, I feel like this is something I want to maintain. All of these words are something that I see myself in the future, but there are also other things that I want to add for my future, and that is more of the innovative part, in creating posts that are innovative, that will surprise you. That's also kind of my goal, in addition to all of these things. Okay, other things that you might or might not know about me is that I've always had trouble of people pronouncing my last name, Masalska. For some people, it's a tongue breaker and it's really, really hard. So I'm thinking maybe to play with that and maybe to really divide my last name into 3 parts and kind of place it underneath each other, or in some way make it better legible, right? So this was kind of one of my goals in my personal branding. Then, international, multicultural, colorful, I would say that's kind of something that I'm going to implement anyway. And that I'm kind of calling myself multidisciplinary designer, because I would say I'm doing a bunch of different things. And if I want to, let's say, deliver a branding presentation to my clients, I usually present the branding in context. So I create a website, I create social media templates, and many, many other things that could make me potentially a UX designer, but I'm not, right? So I'm just going to call myself a multidisciplinary designer because I do kind of touch into different fields. So it's very important to kind of define your field and define the way you work, so that it's, kind of writing these things down make you realize what is important in your brand, right? So me writing down, sorry, Paul, you want to say
Oh
something?
no, that's good. No, I was just gonna or ask you this question that actually Ricardo is asking, which is really tough, by the way. What's your definition of what is design? What's the
Oh,
definition of design to you? Which is a good question to ask you, and it's a good question just to think about what other people perceive
yeah,
designer as, as
yeah.
well.
I think it depends on the person that you ask. If you ask an artist who is building sculptures, there will be a different perception of design. In my case, I think design is solving problems, and design should be there to kind of solve a certain problem and offer a solution that might be a product or a visual or any medium of communication. It can be either, I would say, a physical product or a medium of communication that solves a certain problem, I would say. Very general, very broad, but
Yeah.
what
No,
do you
that
think, Paul?
totally. No, that works out. And I was also just thinking about if I say designer, just like you said, to anyone, does everybody know what designer means? Because you don't mean interior designer. You know, I remember I used to call myself a multimedia designer because it was all about interactivity, and that was like multimedia. But multimedia could mean art, like it could mean sculpture, it could mean painting, you know, watercolor, all those different hard materials. So
Yeah.
that's just the tough one. Like,
Yeah.
I think people will get it based on what they see on Instagram or whatever context they find you in. Should drive
Yeah.
home the type of designer you are.
Totally. And another kind of view on design in context with art is art can solve a problem, or design can solve a problem in art context, even if it's your own problem. So because sometimes some artists or designers, they're struggling, they're having some difficulties understanding themselves. So art and design can not only be a solution for others, but it can also be a solution for yourself to heal yourself from certain things and so on. So I would say art and design are just an output of creativity, of creating something new, bringing new information to this world, and solving a certain problem in the best case.
Yeah. And just to add to that a little bit more, like you could be as detailed about what you do or as general, I guess, as you want. It's always good, like you have multidisciplinary designer, because this covers lots of things, because who knows what you're going to do in the future, you know? It's like, does that make sense? I don't
That's
call
true.
myself a flash designer anymore, you know? So don't,
Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't get the Paul Flash Guru as my username on Twitter or something, because then Paul Flash Guru? That doesn't make, anyways, that's all I was thinking about.
Yeah, I
So,
totally agree. I totally agree, especially if you're in the education field. It's it's also a different discipline. So I'm a designer for education, but how do I describe that? So I feel like multidisciplinary describes it pretty well. Okay, cool. So now, yesterday, I was actually sitting down and I took some time to define my business model, or the things that I'm doing, and kind of put them into categories. And also to add things that I'm planning on, that I've been wanting to do for a very long time. So my business model so far is, in terms of design, I'm doing strategy, branding, and packaging. Those are the three things that I'm mostly involved with, and I'm working with freelance clients. And another part is education. So as some of you know, I do have a YouTube channel. I'm also very often here on Adobe Live, creating some cool things with you guys. And also I'm pretty active on Instagram, and I'm putting out educational content there as well, like small tutorials or educational stories and so on. So, and what I want to do in the future is I would like to build a shop. I would like to create some kind of income that like passive income, basically, that kind of keeps on going without me putting any work to it. It's a very, very good thing if you guys are thinking about the business part of your design career. It's always a really, really cool thing to do, is to create passive income. It could be a book, it could be some kind of product that you sell online, it could be in my case, I'm planning to create a planner for designers, for freelance designers. That's actually a physical planner. So that's something I'm working on. I'm working on creating some shirt prints, some caps, and some other printed artwork. And also I want to sell online courses. So I want to kind of create this connection between education and shop, right? So I do want to kind of create online courses that I can sell in the future.
that's very cool. We've had some good questions come in chat.
Yeah.
Jerotimia, probably not pronouncing that right, but this is such
our friend.
cool. And I'm glad that was hard to pronounce, because the question is all around, what are your views around using your own name versus a screen name?
Uh-huh.
What are your
Okay.
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's a decision that you have to make. I feel it's some people use their personal name, their own name. Some people, so let's say for my educational channel on YouTube, I called it the Made channel because Made is comes from Masalska design. This is how I called my business before, Masalska design. But now I've evolved to kind of this personal brand called Julia Masalska because that's how I always am being showcased on Adobe Live, on any other platforms. And it kind of developed to a certain brand, right? So I cannot leave out Julia anymore. And it's not only Masalska design because I also do education, right? So that has been something kind of that has been a kind of just dropped onto me. I have not really made the decision, but I don't want to create a completely new name that nobody will recognize, right? Because I do have a certain following already, and I do have some things built up that are using my first and last name. So
Yeah.
it's a decision you can make, but make it as early as possible. And keep in mind that your business model might change in the future. Right. So for me right now, I want to stick with Julia Masalska, and I'm not using Masalska design anymore, although I still have the Instagram handle. And I'm still thinking about my YouTube channel name called Made Channel. I might leave it like that. But I'm still kind of curious what it will be if I will call it Julia Masalska channel. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are things. It's very tough to keep that.
And it's good to, it seems like everybody, like Emma, like different people in chat have come across this, like might have a very difficult last name, and Emma is just Emma P.E. But, you know, making it, you know, easy to pronounce, like easy to remember, and unique to where it's not taken on all the various social media platforms.
That is also a very important point.
Yeah, before you decide on that, you know, a different username, make sure Voodoo Val isn't taken. Oh wait, Voodoo Val's taken. Dang it. I guess she can't be Voodoo Val. I don't know. But anyways, that's good.
Yeah, so I was pretty lucky with my last name. It's pretty unique, and there are only a few people that I have seen on social media that have the same last name. So that's also one of the reasons why I decided to keep it. If I had some last name that a lot of people have, I might not even find the right handle, and I might, you know, find something else, maybe Julia Mass or something like that, or something different.
Yeah, you gotta do your best to keep it consistent if you can, because it's that would be nice. Across anytime any new social media platform, this is my advice for everybody. Anytime a new social media platform pops up or whatever new, even if it's something super small, go there, get your name and post something, but just so you have it. Because I'm sure when Twitter hit, we didn't think it was going to be that big and turn out to be something huge. I remember looking, and I remember Paul was available, and I was like, that's not specific enough. That wasn't specific enough, so I didn't get it. I was an idiot.
Oh, anyways. You'll be the Paul.
I would be the Paul. I wonder who that is now. I'm going to harass him. No, just joking. Don't do that. Don't harass people online.
Also, if you want a specific handle, you can also buy it from a person. So that's also a possibility. If you really, really, really want to handle a specific one, you can write to the person who owns the handle currently, and you can offer them some money. And usually they do it. So that's also an idea if you guys really want to.
If you're lucky. I've tried to get Paul Tranny on Instagram, and the guy won't even sell it. He won't even respond to me.
Yeah. Some people probably don't even use that profile. That's the reason why they probably don't read your message. Yeah. So
that's all I got.
So naming and business model, those are the first things that you need to think about before creating a personal brand. So now I would like to take a look at some profiles on Instagram that are pretty successful and that are already having a really set branding and very defined branding. And let me just quickly pull this in from my other screen. So first off, I think some of you probably know your buddy Meg Lewis. She's really amazing designer. As you can see, she's very colorful. She's very crazy and super unique. And as you can see, so are her designs here, and she's reusing all the basic colors, right? We have this pink, we have this yellow, the blue, the red. And so kind of taking a look at how people do it well can really help you to get the definition of a good branding and what aspects are in a good branding, right? So being unique, it's one of the points, right? So taking a look at what nobody else is doing and use that to your advantage to create something unique, right? Unique colors, unique typefaces, unique kind of shape compositions or shape and typeface compositions. So she's doing a really, really, really great job doing that,
Yeah.
being unique and kind of standing out online. So whenever I see a visual, like if I would see this visual by itself, I would totally know right away, this is Meg Lewis. This is her. This is her. The typefaces that she uses, the colors that she uses, and so on. The same thing you will find in her profile picture. She's using the same blue, which is probably one of her brand colors, right? And she's also using the same color palette in the thumbnails in her story saved stories. So even if you look at her IGTV, her background always has the same kind of shapes and colors, and that makes it really, really cohesive. So whenever you see a post of Meg Lewis, you would already know this is her and this is her brand. So I think she's a really, really great example that you can take a look at how to create your own branding. But don't try, whenever you are trying to find inspiration like this, don't try to copy it or just take the concepts out, right? So what are the concepts here? We have playful colors, we have custom hand drawn sometimes typefaces, we have this message designed like a kid, right? So there is a certain simplicity in the shapes. We have all of these flowers and half circles and very, very minimalistic shapes that she's using, right? So cohesiveness in the shapes is also a very important thing. Then we have these black and white patterns that she's always reusing. So this combination of colorfulness and black and white. So let's take a look at an example. So right here we have a lot of colors and then black and white, right? Here as well we have a lot of colors and we have this black and white note. So I feel like that's one of the things that she's been also kind of making her own, right? Using a lot of color and then using a simple black and white shape.
Yeah. And I think honestly, I think for people starting out, it's really tough to even have. She obviously has a voice, has a style, has that established. I think, like, what do you do when you're new and you just don't even have an established style? Like, I still think that's okay. Like, I think one will emerge as you continue to work. So I wouldn't get too stressed about it, basically.
Yeah, that's true. I agree on that. And I feel like Meg also was one of the people who had to find out her own style, and she's now doing courses on finding your own style, which is also pretty cool. So, but it does help. It does help to reuse all the same things. And as you can see, she also created branded filters that you might not see here. Usually they show up in the stories, but this is one of her filters that she has created for Instagram. So she has created her own branded filters, which is also a very new trend these days to create brand presence and cohesiveness, not only in your posts and your stories, but also in the filters. That can be super fun.
Yeah.
So now let's take a look at, we also have, let's say, a good example, Brandon Gross, good friend of mine. So he has always these color sets, right? So he has this gradient of purple to blue. He's using that a lot. He's using those shiny elements. Everything's pretty dark, but then this purple color comes up. So this is the concept here, kind of using lighting, using gradients. That can also be really, really cool. And you can see that his page is really cohesive with everything that he does. Another great example is Patricia Reiners, who is a UX designer. She also has a very good cohesive branding. As you can see, the colors are always repeating. She has always this red pop up somewhere, right? And then she has these very subtle tones that she's reusing over and over. The typefaces are repeating. And this is how you basically do it, right? You have to find yourself a color palette, you have to find yourself typefaces, you have to find yourself shapes. And this is where we kind of get back to our slides, where I'm kind of talking about what do I need for a successful brand, right? So what we are going to start off with today is basic um, branding definition, right? So it's basically your brand guideline, and that includes the name, which we already talked about. My name is Julia Masalska. I want to use it as my brand name. But if you are having an agency, or if you want to work off a different name, feel free to do that as well. But it's important to set the name and keep it cohesive and consistent. Then we have the characteristics. So we have been talking about how you guys characterize me, right? We have these characteristics. They are the ground, the basis for our foundation, which is colors, shapes, typefaces, and visual symbols or icons, you can call them. I just don't like calling them icons, because then you think of UX or UI, which is not what I mean. I mean visual symbols that symbolize the different aspects of my work, right? So it can be educational work, or it can be my freelance work. Those things can be divided by inside the branding, right? They can be basically like parts of my company, but they can look a little bit different. Okay. And then we definitely will need to take the basic branding, so our brand guidelines, color, shapes, typefaces, icons, name, and characteristics. And then we're going to apply them tomorrow to social assets, so Instagram templates, YouTube templates, or other ad templates. Usually I'm working digitally at the moment, so I'm only going to create templates for the digital use. But if you're working with print, if you want to have a business card or something like that, you can also create yourself templates for that as well, to be able to reuse them over and over. And then we have our brand message that we also need to work on. Let's see. Oh yeah, sorry, this is it. So we have our brand voice, which can be quotes. So there are certain things that I say quite a few times, like "I'll see you there." It's something. It's a Julia quote or phrase. Whenever I'm kind of promoting a certain event that's going on, I always say, "I'll see you there." Right? So you guys can probably confirm. And then it can be catchy phrases, something that I say all the time, like "Let's see what it's going to be." That's something that I say quite often. I've noticed that. And also ways of saying things. It can be email communication, for example. So, some companies will reach out to you because you haven't ordered, or you completed your order or something. And they'll be like, "Hey there, how are you doing?" And they'll be talking to you as a friend, right? They'll be talking to you in the perspective as if you're their friend. And some companies reach out to you and they'll be very official and using very complicated language. So their approach is different. The brand voice is different, right? They want to approach you from a different perspective. So usually what I want to do for my brand is I want to be friendly and kind of like speaking on the same level with the person that I'm communicating my brand message with. So my brand voice will be friendly. My brand voice will be inviting, will be expressive, because I do have a pretty expressive my gestures. I always do some stuff with my hands, and and my face does a lot. So it will be very, very expressive and with a lot of emotion, right? So this is my brand voice. Then we have our brand guideline, which is color, shapes, typefaces, and icons, and our social assets. So this is the basics that I need. I can also add, Instagram filters that I can use to kind of distribute my message even further. Or there are new ways to distribute messages. You can even create some, interesting visuals and interesting, I don't know, messages that aren't necessarily about you, but maybe a certain thing that you support. So that can be a big pack of things that you need basically to be successful in your brand.
Yeah, and I'd even jump in and say, like, I feel like it could be very weighty when you're like, oh, I need to develop this brand that's gonna be my identity going
Yeah.
forward. It's like, yeah, and you can also change it too. Like, I get it. I think I've
Yeah.
probably had so many LLCs in the past and stuff like that. It's okay
Yeah.
to, you're going to evolve. Like, I just don't want people to be scared like they're tied to it forever. Because you know what? Hey,
Yeah.
you always have the right to change it. I don't know.
Yeah,
Do
that's
you
true.
agree? Yeah?
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think a good branding is also one that can evolve with you, right, over time. We
Yeah.
also see a bunch of different companies that have been evolving over time, but their branding is still on point and still represents their values. That's why it's always important to kind of have the main value and not only a product, right? If it makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, it does.
Cool. All right. So I'm going to start off with my logo. Of course, I want to write it off, Julia Masalska. I'm not sure if I'm going to be using caps or not. I was reading a lot of bold and expressive and all of that kind of adjectives. So I'm thinking, keeping the caps could be a good idea,
Mm-hmm.
but we can also try and write it out without caps, with case sensitivity.
This is
And
going to
now
be
what I'm going to do.
fun. This is fun.
Yeah, I know, right?
I'm
I
into it.
know. I'm excited. And so now what I want to do is I want to look for typefaces, and I'm gonna go to fonts.adobe.com to find some typefaces. So let me just pull in the site for you. And this is how I would approach basically any project. I would start off with a logo, and then I will go into the color palettes, and then I'll create some shapes. So this is for me a very standard procedure. Let's say. Cool. We have some really cool things here going on the font site. We have some new game, as I just read, right?
Yeah.
Typekit web fonts.
That'll be interesting to check out.
Here, I can play now. See? Okay. All right. So discover your typographic superpower. Oh, I'll do that later. But you guys feel free to check it out and play around with it. Cool. So now I'm going to make a decision on my typefaces, right? I'm going to look at the adjectives that I actually have, and I'm going to kind of try to understand what they mean for my typeface. So we have joyful. Joyful for me means the typeface is a little bit rounded, right? Joyful, friendly, not very edgy. Then we have clean, which is kind of the opposite of that. Clean, I would say, is kind of a typeface, a sans serif like this, with very clear edges. And then we have bold, which this typeface is actually pretty good from what I see right now. It's Nimbus Sans extended. That could be one option. Then we have open-minded. Open-minded can be a definition for me. It would basically tell me that I would not approach a typeface in the regular way. Maybe I would take a look at different options on how I can approach this typeface, and maybe I can reposition the letters or do something interesting and different, right? Radiant can be more regarding to color, so that's something I'm going to get back later. Energetic is something that can also be modern at the same time, so I see energetic being also part of a very minimalistic sans serif. And simplistic, again, sans serif, on point. Also sans serif. Reliable, sans serif.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Sparkling, I'll maybe almost go into the serif direction, but not too extreme. Intriguing, colorful, modern, bright. So I feel like sans serif is the way for me to go. Now let's explore some sans serifs inside fonts. So what I want to do is I want to type in Julia Masalska, and I'm going to be able to see all of these amazing typefaces. Now I have on the left side this filtering system that will help me understand what kind of typefaces I want to filter. So I want to use a sans serif because I've realized that you guys describe me in all the adjectives where I would use a sans serif typeface, right? And the width, right?
I'm liking some of those. I like I don't know if you're taking opinions right now, but like the ones that are really easy to see, like the, what is it, rig? The one that's third one down, third row, one in, big and bold. Go down one more row.
This one,
that
rig
one.
shaded. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
that
just
one's pretty
because
cool.
it's like so clear to read, and
Yeah.
I like the J,
It
but
does.
that's
And I
just me.
think the boldness is what you're kind of trying to
Yeah,
get
that's
to.
kind of
I feel like we can adjust the weight here maybe to bold, and then we'll get only typefaces like that. And from here, I would take a look at the different aspects of the typeface. I really love this one, aileron. I feel like this one is very minimalistic, but it kind of has a character. The A looks a little bit kind of elevated. I don't think a mono typeface will be something that will work with me. And also, this one is pretty cool too. Soleil
mm-hmm.
is really nice. I'm wondering if the J. I'm also kind of looking at specific letters at this point. I'm looking at the J, so I'm not really liking it because it's very slim in comparison to all the other letters. Whereas this J really has a good representation of what the adjectives that we read, right? So we want it to be bold, and we want it to be clear, clean, and modern. So aileron will be something that I consider. Let's see, aileron, and then we have the different typefaces that we can activate
Mm-hmm.
into our library.
Into
So
it.
here I'll maybe just activate the whole family and see how
Go
the
for
different.
it.
Yeah, exactly,
Sorry to
right.
interrupt. I mean,
Yeah,
it's free. You can just like activate as many as you want. It doesn't cost you any more to like. Yeah, it's
exactly.
basically free. So have fun. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah, totally. And now I'm just gonna go back in here and I'm gonna use aileron right in my design. As you can see, I've also pulled in some images that I've been using for my social media, and they're all very different. So Julia can go from very serious, very corporate, to Julia is just a crazy freak. So that's always kind of the variation that I find myself in. So maybe it's just the combination of both, or maybe the education Julia can be the freak, and the or maybe the other way. I'm not sure yet. So we'll see. We'll see. That's one thing that I'm kind of a little bit concerned about. Am I going to be the serious Julia, or am I going to be the crazy Julia? Because I'm usually the combination of both.
I'm into it.
Okay, cool. Okay, so we have aileron. Let me try aileron. So now we have different weights here, right? By the way, it's already synced to my library, to my assets here in Illustrator, so I can go ahead and start using it right away. It's pretty cool. I like the bold. Go ahead.
I do too. Now, we're just going to remind everybody that in about 45 minutes, we're going to be reviewing the design challenge today. So make sure you check that out. And that's it. You can check out the challenge tab. If you're on YouTube, hop over to behance.net/Adobe Live. Then you'll see what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So, sorry.
Cool. No worries, you're good. I know I'm talking a lot sometimes.
Yeah,
so
you are
so,
here to talk, so it's perfect.
Right?
It would be weird if you weren't.
Yeah, right. So now I'm kind of experimenting. This is the same typeface, but as you can see, kind of spreading out the letters and increasing the boldness can be a different, an opportunity to create a variation of it. And sometimes I also do it with my clients that I'm trying to suggest some different variations and how they kind of work together. Another thing that I've been mentioning earlier is that I wanted Masalska to be easier to read, right? So maybe I want to try a variation where I'm placing my name and my last name underneath each other. Maybe that could be also interesting.
I like it. And it's good to probably think about the different places this will be, because it could be a watermark on something. It will be in a square format on Instagram.
Exactly.
And all that stuff.
So right now I'm thinking that Julia could be, something that's placed next to Masalska. That could be a little bit smaller maybe, because in the end, my last name is more important than my first name. So creating a certain kind of hierarchy and giving Masalska kind of the attention could be interesting too. So here I'm going to go in and reduce the distance between the lines, and let's see how that will work. And now let me try that same variation in the other typeface. So I'm just gonna click I for eyedropper, and I'm gonna eyedrop the same typeface and character style into this. Okay, this could be interesting. And as you can see, there is an interesting thing happening here. So we have these two A's connecting, right? That could be an element to play with. And another thing that you might notice is that I have 3 A's in my last name, which is also pretty unique. So I'm going to outline this, Command Shift and O, and I'm going to go in here and try to create a relationship between those 3 A's. Maybe it's a way for me to kind of convey the message of, right? So it's pretty cool. I'm kind of liking the connection here. Or maybe another variation of this could be where I connect the A's in a different way, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm doing something like this. And that will give me a line, kind of almost like a ladder. And I also feel like the A's almost look like a road, right? They give this perspective, the feel of perspective, which is also really interesting. Maybe that's also something we can play with. As you can see now, I'm really going into depth here, and I'm trying to figure out if there is a way for me to find another relationship in this. And does this really make it better legible? Because I feel like the K and the A being on further left side than the M and the S makes me want to start reading from here, which could be a problem potentially, right? So I'm thinking maybe this variation will be more interesting for us. Another thing that I'm thinking of is, what if the A has a connection to the letter that stands next to it, because you know that the A's are creating a lot of white space around it. So let me try a variation where Masalska, let me outline this again, Command Shift and O, and I'm going to remove Julia for now. I want to concentrate on my last name and bring it to play so that it works better maybe. So what if our A's are actually a little bit different? What if our A's are actually elements that are connected to the M? What if the A is something, let's say, like this? That could be interesting. And I'm trying to replicate the typeface width so that I can really, mimic the typeface and create something unique. So I'm gonna go in here and create the little cutout for the A. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm gonna build it a little bit further lower here.
I like that. I want to welcome Scott in. Good to have you here.
Cool. And we have these amazing guides that really help me design with precision and super easily kind of put together something like that. That could be interesting. What if I'm going to pull down these points, but I'm going to create a little bit of a difference here like that, and I'm gonna pull these down too like that, something like that could be interesting. And then I'm gonna pull in the S closer to that. I have to go in the group like that. So that could be an opportunity for me to use this, right? I'm gonna mirror this.
Yeah.
Okay, and now the other A can be connected to the L. That could be interesting. What about that? What do you guys think? What are you guys thinking about this?
What do you guys think? Let us know what you think. I kind of liked it. I do like that. I kind of liked it also when there was a gap between the M and the A. Okay. I don't know what you think. I don't know.
Yeah, but let's just create some variations, and then we can pick the best.
You do your thing. Do your thing.
Yeah, this could be an opportunity, but who knows?
Hey, do you, I don't know if you want to show any of the new features like for aligning glyphs in Illustrator? It's like really easy I could show you. It takes 2 seconds.
Okay, sure.
If you just
Yeah, so
select.
I'm just gonna
Oh yeah,
I'm just gonna outline one of these, right?
You don't even have to outline it.
Oh, okay. All
I
right.
just wanted to show you if you wanted to see.
Yeah. Yes. Please.
Select some text that is not one that you have different text elements. Like select Julia for instance. This will take like 2 seconds. And then open up the either the character panel or in properties, hit the 3 little dots right down there. Boom. And then down at the bottom, the snap to glyph. You can actually turn that on, and I think it's because I guess you just need one actually selected. But you turn that on, and what it will do is allow you to snap the letters to the actual glyph, lower or uppercase, as opposed to the bounding box.
Oh, I see. Okay, it makes sense. So let's say I have a little circle here, and then I want to snap it to the glyphs over here, which I'm going to ungroup. Oh no, actually no, never mind. Outlining it doesn't make sense. So let's say the bounding box ends up here, and I want to snap this element to the A, right? To the top of the A instead of the bounding box. Is that what it's for?
Yeah, it doesn't really snap to it. It just gives it guides. So and I'm going there as well, by the way. Ba-ba.
Okay.
Click those 3 little dots, and then snap to glyph. Why is it not turned on for you? I don't know.
I'm not sure. Let's try it out. Let's try another letter here.
I assume it's just because you didn't have something like the text selected, or who knows what.
Okay, let's see. So we have a letter inside a bounding box, and then we have this. And then let's see if it's turned on.
Yeah, just select one. Turn on one letter. Just select one. Just one bounding box. I think maybe it's because you have multiple. I just don't know why it's not on for you. I will figure that. I'll figure that out for you. Okay.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I would love to try that out. That would be cool. Cool. All right, guys. So we have created a couple of variations with this specific typeface. What if we're gonna go back and try to research more? Maybe we can find something better than this. And by the way, I'm still designing in black and white because I have not found my color palette yet, but that's something that we're going to be working on in just a bit. Okay, sounds good. Let's go back here, and now I'm gonna do something like that. All right, so let's see what other typefaces that we have that could be a potentially a potential for a variation of my logo. Okay, I have to say I'm very specific with the typeface because the typeface will be speaking everything about my logo, because it's not a custom lettering, it's not anything. The typeface will actually determine the way it looks. So it's very important to find the right one. Here, Forma DJI deck. I really like that one. That one is also really awesome. Forma DJI, cool. I have this one active already, and the banner one is also really great. As you can see, it's a typeface where the letters are pretty close to each other. This one is also nice. Let's try this one. It gives a little bit more spacing, a little bit better adjustment between the letters and the kerning. Cool. All right, so I have activated this for my DJI Micro. Let's try that out. Forma DJI Micro. There we go. It's so fast to activate a typeface in any of the applications. So any typekit typeface. Oh, this is interesting. Look at this. Look at this. It has a little like a little slant, and also it's more rounded. If you zoom out though, it looks very minimalistic and very clean. So I'm kind of liking the idea of this typeface and having a little bit more character to it, although it's very minimalistic.
Yeah, it is cool. It makes it like a little playful, having it have those irregularities. And I figured out that you just where the glyph issue was.
Oh,
You
okay.
just, yeah, you just have to turn it on under view, and then you'll see it.
Oh.
You don't have to do it now, but that's what you have to do. View down there toward the bottom, snap to glyph, third from the bottom,
Oh, okay.
and now
Snap
it'll.
to glyph.
And actually, if you go to the three little dots, if you select some text and go to the three little dots, yeah, click on.
Oh
And
yeah,
now
now
you,
it's showing.
yeah,
Yeah.
so you can have all
Cool.
of them turned on,
That's
and
totally something to
what you'll
play with.
see is you'll see these new green lines pop up that
Uh-huh.
will align to the actual text as opposed to the bounding box and stuff. So,
Uh-huh.
okay.
That's super cool.
Bruno's
That's
asking
awesome.
how many fonts would you use on your own brand? He says one would be enough. What do you think?
So right now to create variations, I'm going to try to create variations with different typefaces, of course. But to finalize, I would say I'll probably get around two, maybe a serif and a sans serif, or maybe two different sans serifs, so that I can also, the font weight makes a difference, right? So here we have different font weights, and I could say that this is my header and also my logo typeface, and this could be my my lorem ipsum, my body text, right? So let's say my body text will be regular, and it will be way smaller, of course. So this is how I would select a character style inside one typeface, right? You can see that they look very different. My header will be in caps, and it will be very bold, and my body will be, of course, I want to decrease the distance here as well. So the body will be regular, and it will look like it's it's supposed to be lower in the hierarchy, of course, than the header. That's what it's for. So so yeah, this is how I would basically define the typefaces. I would define the size of the typeface and also make it less bold and less flashy. And for body text, I also recommend using typefaces that are well legible. You can test the legibility. So let's say, for example, I have this lorem ipsum, and I have a lorem ipsum that's in a typeface, maybe like this, right? So let's kind of try to make it fair and resize this a little bit, make it a little smaller. So as you can see, these typefaces look like they're almost the same size. But when I zoom out, this one is pretty well legible, while this one, the lines are getting very thin once you zoom out, and it's pretty bad, to read from afar. So make sure that the body is always a typeface that's well legible. It can also be a serif typeface, right? So
Yeah,
let's
into it.
continue. Let's continue. We want to make this happen. I'm kind of into this right now, and this is also one of my favorites. But let's take another look at the typefaces. Maybe we can find something more interesting. Yeah, as you can see, I'm not very experimental with my logo, because I do want to have the boldness, and I do want to have the clean and minimalistic approach rather than create something complex. So we can totally kind of go from here and keep moving towards colors. I'm actually pretty satisfied with the typefaces that we had. Let's take a look. So we have this one, right? We have this variation here that I liked a lot, and I feel like it's well legible, and also creates a connection between the A's, which can be kind of nice as well. I'm thinking maybe I should just align it underneath like that, so the M and the K kind of have this connection as well. And now I can use maybe like a square element or something like that to, oh, this kind of reminds me actually of Pantone, of the Pantone logo. Yeah,
That's
this
cool.
could be cool. This could be interesting. Let's see now how we can create variations of this. So let me take a closer look at all the things that are happening in here. Maybe this S we can put a little closer, and the outline a little thicker. Cool. Now let's create a copy. So I'm gonna just copy paste this, and let's create a variation of that. Let's create maybe like a filled, and I'm going to cut out the Masalska out of the think I need to put that to the top. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, so maybe something like this, and then if we bring color into it, it would already have, you know, it would already have a different feel to it. Okay, let's see. Okay, so let's say I'm bringing color into this and it already has a completely different feel. It's not that black and white anymore, right? So that can be something that we can play with. I'm not sure where my library is. Oh yeah, now it works. By the way, this is just an inspiration library that I have. I'm just saving a bunch of colors that I like and a bunch of shapes into it that I've created with Adobe Spark. So really cool to look into that as well. I'm kind of liking this. I feel like this is really fresh and it makes it easy to read. Masalska. Now let's think about Julia. Where does Julia come in? So I do want to have my logo say my first name as well. That's important to me. So I'm gonna go ahead and just resize it a little bit, maybe make it a little smaller. And maybe that can be a type on a path situation. Let's see if we're gonna be able to do something cool out of this type on a path. There we go. Julia.
Julia, we have some questions. Could your logo be like your initials or something entirely different, like abstract?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, totally. It's all about how you want to define yourself and how you want to kind of show off in public, right? So if you want your name to be used, then I would recommend using a name. But if you want to use your initials, if maybe your last name is very long or very difficult to pronounce, then I could also imagine using the initials. But you can also create different types of logos, right? So I can also create a variation of this logo where it just says JM. But I do want to use my last name actually, and being it legible and, you know,
into it.
cool.
Yeah, I think it totally works I like that color.
Yeah, right. I think that color is very poppy, and I've been into colors like that recently as well, so it works pretty well. That is interesting. Again, this reminds me a lot of the Pantone logo and how they're having those, you know, those cards where you have the color and then it says the Pantone number. So that can, but that's a good
That
association.
would be fun. Yeah,
a good
totally.
association. It's not bad. I would not say, hey, you know, that could be cool. Let's set this to the back. Now, how would my logo look like in a circle? That would be also interesting to explore. So again, I'm grabbing the same typeface and maybe I can create a circle version of my logo. That could be cool. I'm gonna make an ellipse and I'm gonna use the type on a path tool. Type on a path tool. There we go. Okay, Julia Masalska. Kind of having like a stamp. Right? Something like this. And I'm gonna decrease the typeface size a little bit so I can place it twice. Okay. Like so. And I do want it to be all the same typeface, so I'm going to make it all the same. Like that. Julia Masalska, Julia Masalska.
Cool. Yeah, both of those would work as like good like watermarks.
Yeah, this one, yeah, that's for sure. Okay, now let's get into shapes, guys, because I do feel like I need a shape inside my logo. I want to make it more exciting and yeah, create more variations than just playing with the sans serif typeface that almost looks the same everywhere. All right, so let's take a look at what kind of shapes we can use. I want to use, let's say, did you guys know that when you make a star and click the up button on your keyboard, you can create cool shapes like that? And That can be also a thing that I could use for my logo. Yay! That looks kind of cool.
Bam, like it.
And then I can also go and create a zigzag. Whoops. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, so let's do that. Let's do that with a regular circle, ellipse tool. And then I'm gonna go and effect, distort and transform, zigzag. And then you can create zigzags in here, which is pretty cool. And then you can also make them smooth, so they will be just like bubbly and friendly, which is more me than this very pointy star. So something like that I can imagine. And
Yeah.
ridges, and then you can determine the amount of ridges. I feel like this could be cool. And then you can expand the object. Where is it?
Object. Expand appearance.
Expand appearance. Yeah, okay, there we go. And now we have an actual object so that we can resize it and it won't be modified anymore. It's just outlined already. That could be something I could use here. Yeah, I'm kind of liking this. Maybe a little smaller so it's not too dominant and heavy. Yeah, I like this shape. This is already, by the way, one of our shapes that that we can use. So I'm into this. This is one of my favorites. And then this could have variations. So let's try experiment with different shapes. So maybe one could be this star element. One could be like a let's try a polygon. Polygon with rounded corners. That's also an element I've been using a lot.
Cool. Looks like Main's asking if you use color psychology.
Color psychology? Well, this is technically color psychology because if you think of adjectives, if you think of fun, what do you think of? Right? This is color psychology. If you think of fun, you think of like confetti, and confetti are always colorful. If you think of fun, you think of like balloons. Balloons are always very colorful, right? So inviting, what makes you comfortable? Comfortable is probably like natural color tones, like beige or very soft green tones that will look very inviting and very friendly, very calming. And yeah, I think I totally use that, but I feel like in my case, I'm looking at an adjective and I already know what kind of colors express that adjective. It's a very good exercise if you're a design beginner to practice expressing certain words with colors. That will help you in your future to be able to define things like that almost intuitively. So that's a really, really good exercise. So just write yourself a list of different adjectives and try to find the color palettes for that. Okay, cool. Where are we? Right here. So I'm having this and I'm thinking that I might use two different types of logo because I do have education and I do have my freelance work, right? So I'm thinking maybe for my freelance work, I can use this one. And for my educational work, I can use this shape, right? That could be a shape that I could use for that. So yeah, I'm trying to make it a little bit more straight so it's nice and even like that. And I feel like these elements, I have not seen them a lot inside logos. So that's a good sign. Cool. Okay, this could be cool. I like this one. I'm not a big fan of this, although let me just remove the frame here. So I'm liking that. What if we have this shape and this combination? What if we have this happening together? That could be interesting. Look. So I have just created a variation, the same typeface, the same shape. It's just a different way of using it.
Do you ever use mood boards?
Mood boards, yeah, I use mood boards all the time. At this time, my mood board is actually in form of words. So I'm actually using this as my mood board because I don't want to look too much at other at work that has been done already, and more at work that's kind of happening inside my head when I'm reading these words, right? So, but I totally use mood boards all the time when I'm having branding projects, especially when I'm building concepts for clients to kind of show them the direction the project could go. I use mood boards for that to kind of give them the visualization, right? But here I do want to kind of go from scratch. And as you can see, we already have this thing, which could be a variation of the logo. And then we have this thing, which could be a variation of the logo. And they are totally different, right? They're completely different. And they have their own character, although I'm using the same colors, the same shapes, the same typefaces. So this could be one. Let's copy this one over here. As you can see, I'm doing a lot of copy pasting and then just adjusting different things. Let's take a look at my libraries. What kind of colors do I have that are comforting and friendly? Red. A yellow like this could be interesting as a color. Now let's copy. Actually, let's just copy this shape. And let's put this Masalska on top of here. That could be cool. Arrange.
Sweet.
Send to back. So now this could be logos for the different things that I'm doing, right? As I was telling you earlier. Let's try around and play around with this just a little bit more. Oh, this is also interesting. This is very unexpected and kind of, it makes it a little intriguing, as you guys called me. So this could be also interesting where you can't really see everything, but you kind of almost guess what it says, right? So that could also be something to play with. You know, just place it on top of the letters like that. Those could be cool icons for the stories, for the saved stories. That could be nice.
Yeah, that would be cool. That would be very cool.
Yeah. You're right.
People are asking, a couple questions. Where do you find inspiration from? How long did you learn graphic design? I'm always learning graphic design.
Yeah, same here. I've never
stopped.
Yeah, same here. Same here. And well, I do get inspiration from, of course, I see a lot of other work, a very inspiring work. I love work that's innovative, that's different. I look at the concepts and I feel like looking at different concepts brings new concepts, new connections in your brain. So even though you're looking at other people's work, you're creating your own concepts. Another thing that's very inspirational for me is nature. I feel like nature has a lot of really, really interesting shapes. If you look at leaves, for example, how do these little veins inside a leaf flow and stuff like that. That can be also very interesting to look at. So yeah, and yeah, inspiration usually comes from being out there, you know, see things, experience things. That's usually what gives you new feelings, new emotions, new associations, and you learn from that intuitively. So that's pretty cool. Sometimes just going to a museum or watching an interesting, you know, artsy movie can help you to get some inspiration. Yeah, so I'm still playing around with this. I think this is pretty cool. I'm kind of liking the colors here as well. Although I'm also a big fan of this purple here. That's also something that I've been liking recently.
Yeah.
And I've been also playing around a lot with this smiley emoji. I feel like it looks very friendly, very approachable, but also very minimalistic, and it kind of conveys so much emotion in just a couple lines, and it just makes you happy, right? Just tilting it a little bit and it looks so happy, right? So that has been also cool. Let's try this color, why not? So I'm using the eyedropper tool, and that could be also a really, really cool brand color for me, I feel like. And these two have built a very good contrast, and with the black, a good combination. Okay, cool. So we have that. Let's try and work with this a little bit longer. This could be also a variation depending on where you put it, basically. Could be cool. I can see this as a t-shirt, to be honest, kind of like having like a star, you know, and um, the scouts when they get a star. That's something cool. I could see that as a sticker as well. And this is where you're kind of already building the perception of your brand, where you kind of imagine things that you can do with all of that. And logo design is not only creating visuals, but also imagining how they will look like on certain things and where they would be used. So if I'm creating for a company that's only working digitally, I always have to imagine people looking at their phones, and I need to see the logo. So it needs to be pretty big, a typeface, pretty large typeface inside the logo, and well legible. So it's always good to keep in mind, even while designing, who you're designing for, what's the purpose of this design. I'm also, go ahead. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, no, I was just gonna. Dima Lee is asking, how long did you learn for being an instructor, being in Adobe? I think it's like, I don't know what he's trying to say, but please clarify. I think
I'm actually an XD instructor. I'm actually doing demos in Adobe XD for different corporations and agencies. So I do learn a lot because I'm actually not an instructor, and I notice that every single time. I'm learning, how to kind of create a good structure of a presentation, and then how to dive into the certain points of it and certain talking points. And it's all a lot of planning, to be honest. It's all about taking, kind of breaking it down and giving it a good structure. So it's understandable for others. I feel like that's very important.
And just to kind of also like let people know that we have there's Adobe certification exams too, like because Julia, you went to school for design, right?
Yes,
is that right?
I went to school for industrial design, which is not necessarily what I'm doing right now. Yeah. So
and in lieu of that, like, if you didn't go to art school or whatever, if you didn't get a design, whatever, you can always become you can get an Adobe certification in different apps, and then you can take that and put that on your resume and stuff. Like, just FYI. I don't know if we actually have the official Adobe certified instructor certifications anymore or not. I don't know if we do, so I'd have to take a look at that, just FYI.
Yeah, I remember seeing something like that.
Yeah, there are. But all that stuff is just to kind of show a potential client that you know what you're talking about. But you can also do that with your portfolio. Should do the very same thing. Should show that you know how to
That's
use
very
the
true.
tools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One tip, guys, if you're creating a shapes that work together. So here I've created this shared rectangle, and before it looked something like this. And as you can see, we have these lines that are not running parallel. They're kind of, running apart. So what I want to do, if lines are like this close together, I do want to create some comfort for the eye, right? So I want to make this rectangle have the same angles, or have a certain alignment to the angles that are used inside the other parts of the graphic. So this is the reason why I selected this rectangle to have this specific angle. Right?
I like that. I like that little slant. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and also it's kind of like we have this line here. We have this invisible line that kind of creates the connection here, right? And now we have something that runs almost across it, to show that's kind of breaking the box, kind of this out of the box thinking. I don't know, it sounds a little cheesy, but let me try and adjust the color here, because I feel like this blue is a little too serious for me. I'm not that serious, or I don't want to be that serious. Yeah. I'm into these shapes more, that are more playful and more like interactive and interesting to look at. I'm not sure if this would be something for me, but I'm just creating variations at this point. So I have all the freedom to see how it looks like, right?
Yeah, totally into it. I like trying out these different looks and noticing how the color kind of also like changes it. And I like all these colors like, together as well. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, they do work pretty well. And again, I've just pulled them from literally from my inspiration library that I have, where I have just random colors, but sometimes some of them work well together. So I do that often. And as you can see, I'm trying to stay away from colors like red or crazy blue, because I feel like those would not necessarily represent me. I feel like I'm gonna stick to a combination of black and white, and then using colored shapes for this. So yeah, just to explain the workflow a little bit. Let's see. Now I think my text I'm gonna keep black and white all the time. And at this point, I still don't know what exactly I'm doing. I'm just trying to get this feeling across of what I've read from you guys, how you perceive me. So it's still very vague and kind of in the exploration phase. So yeah, but it's the interesting part about it. Oh, this is cool. I'm liking this. I'm liking this right now. Masalska. That's how I usually spell my name.
Yeah, I like the fact that there's that element behind it too, by the way. Like, for those elements, like ties it all together. Because people could think that it's 3 different words. Yeah. And it just kind of says, hey, it's one unit. So yeah. And that's cool too. Just what you just did there with that kind of splash behind it is also neat,
Pretty cool. Yeah, and I'm also thinking maybe to use that to kind of cover this space between Julia and Masalska. Yeah, well, again, I'm creating variations at this point, and you can see my artboard is really messy, but it's not about a client presentation right now, right? It's just about exploring and playing around and creating some cool stuff. I'm thinking in this case, I'm going to place Julia and Masalska underneath each other, because that could look really cool. Like that. That's cool. Yeah, my last name is my first and last name next to each other are pretty long, so it's always a challenge to put it closer together, to make it a little bit more compact.
Yeah, Carol's asking if you are intentionally avoiding using the word design or similar descriptive. Are you going to add that in sometime or not, or?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I feel like what I want to do is I want to keep my brand, my holistic branding general. I don't want to specialize it. Am I a designer? Am I an educator? Because I do both, right? And if it only says that I'm doing design, that I'm not an educator, right? It kind of excludes it. But I don't want that. I just want it to be my personal brand. I want to brand myself as a person, not as a service, right? So I feel like that's the kind of the thought behind this. Yeah. So now I'm kind of trying to find the connection between these two shapes, and let's see how we can make them work together. Maybe they can be an element that I use when I'm just generally Julia Masalska, and one of those I could use if it gets more specific, like Julia Masalska the designer or Julia Masalska the educator, right? So I'm just trying to find a little way.
Yeah.
Trying to find a little way to combine those. Like that, maybe. It does look like a flower. I'm not into that. Yeah, I feel like this is better. And maybe it could be like something like that. Like sticking up.
And then, and then you'd have to think about like what do the symbols mean, and which one is like which, and why is it that is another question.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a very important thought here because as I was saying earlier, here this more friendly, wavy symbol, I would say this is the educational Julia, because I'm less serious. I don't, care too much appearing professional, or I just want to share my knowledge. This is my pure, purpose as an educator. I want to share my knowledge, and it has to be fun, it has to be entertaining, and I don't want to be too serious or too corporate, right? And whereas when is it working as a designer, or if I'm working on a freelance project and I'm talking to a client, I do want to gain their trust, and I do want to have the appeal of I'm serious about it, and I'm trustworthy. Winning trust of a client is a challenge because they meet you for the first time. How do they know they can invest their money into you, right? Especially as a freelancer, you usually take a certain percentage in advance before you even deliver anything. So they don't really have any kind of feeling of safety if you don't give it to them by appealing. Appearing serious or professional, right? So that's I feel like that's a good representation inside this shape, and the wavy one is more like the fun and educational Julia.
And somebody who said it says it looks like a gear, which also actually works. Oh yeah, Carol says it looks like a gear, which also works because it's like a gear is like, it's like building. It feels like a building block. I don't know, like a machine training.
Yeah.
I think it just kind of works as if people take that away from it or whatever.
Yeah, I agree. I really
it's
like this.
let's make the working parts,
fun
for training. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's pretty cool, something also to play with later on. So I definitely want to include this part. That's for sure. Oh, I'm almost inclined to kind of tilt it a little bit because it looks very static, because the top shows to the top and the bottom shows to the bottom. So I just want to do a little like tilt like that, so it looks more fun and more yay. Just more yay.
Yeah, Bolina brings up a good point. Like, inherently, we are teachers because we have to educate clients on our design decisions.
Yeah, that's very true.
Is good, and that goes for anyone. It's like I had a plumber over the other day.
Yeah.
And he kind of has to explain what he's doing. Like, you do kind of have to explain what you're doing, but especially for design, why you do what you do and why you pick the colors that you pick.
See, like, the difference. Yeah, the difference between us and the plumbers is that the plumber comes and they already let you know, hey, this is going to be $300 or $600. But with a designer, you don't really know the value of their work unless they explain it to you. So you do have to show them the whole capacity, the whole abilities that you have, that you might not only do his logo, but also do a whole branding and the whole brand identity and strategy for them. And then you can also help them with the packaging, right? So they will be able to see your value if you educate them about your process, about your abilities as well.
And same does go for like even like a plumber, because like there's that whole story of the plumber that goes over and turns one wrench on one pipe and fixes it and charges them $600, and the person's like, no, that's crazy. Why did you charge me $600? I just turn this one pipe. So he says, okay, well, let's just say $1 for turning the wrench on that pipe, and $599 knowing which pipe to tighten. So, and the same goes for design. It's like, even the more simple designs, like what you're doing here, becomes like really successful. It's not like more pixels make things better.
That's
it's like
so true.
Using the right things and boiling it down to its like essence is what makes things pretty successful, I think.
Yeah, that's I agree with that. And the simpler something is, or the more minimalistic something looks, the more room for interpretation you have, and the easier it is for a brand like that to evolve and still stay consistent, right? Because let's say from now on I would start doing something completely different, and I would still be able to keep similar branding, right? So it's all about establishing a visual that's not very specific, but can be interpreted in multiple ways.
Yeah, into it just gives you that flexibility, which is nice.
Yeah, totally.
And
So,
we are kind of winding down. It is about time to review some of the creative challenges.
yeah, let's do
I don't
that.
want to interrupt you. I mean, we're gonna have time to have you do some more work
Yeah.
if you want to, Julia. I know you're slaving away. We just get to be entertained by you.
No, that's fine. That's totally fine. So yeah, let's just sum it up a little bit, and then I wanted to kind of sum up the colors that I've been using here. So I just want to kind of put them together so that we have some kind of reference already. So we have this lime green, we have this purple that I really, really love, and we have this black color that I might change to a color that's not so black. Maybe, let's see, maybe, so this is the corner of the corners here where it doesn't get any darker, right? So I just want to go just a tiny tad up in this thing, and I want to create this like charcoal looking color. So this is going to be my color here, right? So now my process will be kind of summarizing it all, clearing it up, and I would find the variations that I want to really use for my brand. So it will be number 1 is this one, right? Number 2 is that one. Number 3 is this one, right? These are all variations of each other, and I can use them all because they work together. And another variation, I would say maybe this one. Yeah, so I would say we have a logo set, and we have the colors set. So after this, we can, if we have a couple more minutes, we can maybe continue just a little bit on the shapes.
Yeah, for sure.
But
for sure.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I don't even know how this is coming together. It's very intuitive at this point.
Yeah, it's fun to watch because that's why I like this live stuff. You know, we're just kind of seeing where it goes.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
So I'm gonna go ahead and I'll share my screen, Julia. Hopefully you could see this, and just so everybody knows, you can click on the challenge tab. It is actually just day 2 for this daily creative challenge. Just so you know, let me actually just jump back. This is the main URL, and again, day 2, ghostly type, create spooky typography using zigzag and type effects, which is really fun. You can watch that video, get the starter file. There's really nothing in the starter file. This is what he makes, by the way. I just kind of scrolled through the video and does a cool job of melding that type together and actually doing what you did, Julia, because you used zigzag earlier.
Yeah,
he did that on some
cool.
text and did some fun spookiness. So let's see what people did. They did not have much time, only had an hour, so I don't know what is out there, but we'll jump to it right now. And we'll jump to the bottom.
Let's do it.
Here we go. Mercurial Forte. Meow. Ooh, I love that. So
yeah, that's super cool.
Oh, they definitely know what they're doing, huh? That is awesome.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Good job. I mean, it's
really
like,
cool.
I love how it gets larger. Like, it's kind of looks small, and then and it's still legible. It's awesome.
Yeah, I love the cat on the moon. It's really, really nice. And I can hear that sound in my ears. It goes like meow. Like this crazy cat that meows in the middle of the night and wakes you up. Yeah,
that's
cool.
Right. That's pretty funny. And
I love it.
Oh, look, you guys are getting stuff done. This is like, whoa. Okay,
Ooh.
that works too. Woo. Oh yeah, woo, like ghost sound. I don't know.
Like a wolf, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Or a whoa.
Holy moly, it's so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so there was some some connecting of lines. So this says spooky. Yeah. I don't know what you're putting in your coffee that makes it spooky, but okay.
Yeah, right?
A little harder to read, wouldn't you say? But still, good job.
Yeah, well done. I would maybe
Terry.
put a little bit more contrast because this dark blue and the black are very close by each other. So
Yeah.
maybe just use like a lighter blue or just something that's a little bit more lighter than this.
Yeah, that would be a good idea. But everybody's same here. Like that purple was really tough to read, but this one doesn't really have the type in it. Let me jump to this one. Mare Carolina. Cool.
Oh, I like this. This is so cool. I love
That's
it's
cool.
very cohesive. I love that you're reusing the same color, and that can be really, really cool. I'm thinking of where the lines kind of come together. There is this point where it gets a little interesting, and they kind of like create a certain visual effect. Maybe you can use a gradient there to kind of blur it out a little bit, so that you can really concentrate on the blue.
Yeah, I agree. And I think there's a little bit like it's very wiggly here and then it's straight lines. You could still do that. This is the one thing I would do to take it to the next level. Disregard these graphics. But I'm just going to jump in here and hold on one second. Let me okay, here we go. Warp. Use this warp tool. So even once you've created something, go to warp, and then you could push those pixels, or excuse me, those vectors around as if they're almost like pixels. But that's all I'm doing there. So use that warp tool. Is pretty fun to make things look a little bit more organic.
Yeah, that would be actually really cool in this case.
Yeah, because it just, you want to just smudge it a little bit, and it's kind of like a smudge tool. Ooh, look at this. Wait, what is going on here? Kevin's killing it. Look at this. Spooky.
Ooh, that looks so cool. I would love to have a poster like that. It's really
That's
amazing.
pretty good. Yeah. Oh, I love this. I love the hand right there in the P. That's pretty cool.
And they're not all looking the same. Like there's one on the first O as well, but you can barely see it. So it's kind of like almost like a shadow. Super cool.
Yeah.
I'm loving this.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Even these, like even the type alone, like this is pretty cool. Like this, don't you think?
Yeah.
It's
super
yeah,
cool.
So good.
Oh, I will make some signs for your Halloween party.
Yeah.
By the way, who's celebrating Halloween this year? I feel like it's going to be an online celebration. Everybody's going to be live on Instagram and everywhere. Just dressing up and posting pictures. But yeah, we've been eating candy and what was it? That meme? We've been eating candy all year and wearing a mask.
Yeah, exactly. That's like we've been celebrating Halloween all year, right?
Exactly.
Eating candy and wearing a mask.
Yeah.
We're going to go to my neighbors, and I think we're going to get like a PVC pipe to give kids candy. So you just slide it down the pipe because you don't,
that's
parents,
so cool.
They don't want you getting really close. So it's like you do it. Or we're going to get these grabber hands like that are
Oh my God, yes.
like you just like drop it in there a little, something like that.
That would
this
be
is
cool
too. That's cool. Matt-o'-lantern.
That's cool.
Good job.
Love it.
I think we're kind of wrapping up with the ones that were from the challenge today. Yesterday, I think, was pumpkin related.
Pumpkin.
But this is pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, I love it. I love the effect there, the little like gradient that's happening on the edge. I feel like it looks really like the pumpkin is lit from the inside, but dark from the outside. So it's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. For this one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. They did a pretty good job. Yeah. Very cool. Well, keep them coming. We could always check back. Oh, it looks like we'll review these two, and then Julia will cut back to you.
Sounds good.
Mandelic, created during the current live stream. Cool. This is perfect. Type along the path. A little distortion.
Yeah, and the cool thing is also that whenever you do something like that, you can do it with intention, right? So you know how when you're reading notes, I mean like music notes, they go up and down, right? So here I'm reading this as, wouldn't you like to see something strange?
Yeah.
Right? So it's kind of like a sound wave, and you can play
Mhm.
with that in your design. So it's a really, really cool thing to do with intention.
Yeah, that is totally cool. That's very cool. And this is for distorting the type the way he or she did, it's still legible. So good job.
Very
'Cause
nice.
type really has one job. It's just to be like, if you can't read it, then that's a tough one. Like this one.
Yeah.
This one we know it says spooky. Still a tough read, but still really cool. Yeah, I'm into it.
Yeah.
Good job, everybody. You guys are so
Very
good.
nice. Very
Bam,
cool.
bam. All right, we'll switch back to you.
Cool.
Keep
Awesome.
the designs coming, folks.
Yay. And let us know in the chat if you guys have any questions. More than happy to answer in the process. Cool. Yeah, so I'm getting like a reflection from my table here. Let me quickly close this up here so it doesn't reflect because it's blinding me. Okay, so we have the color palette kind of set like this. I would say we need another tone that's a very light color. So let me check in my inspiration libraries. Maybe I have something similar that I can use. Otherwise, we can find some color inspirations also on color.adobe.com. Actually, let's go there and let's see what we can find.
Do it.
All right, so I'm gonna go into color.adobe.com, and here we will be able to find different options. We can either create our own color palette. We can also explore, which I really like doing. Here you will see that there are different types of color palettes. Yeah, so we can look for color themes, we can look for creative projects, and even stock photos. And trends is what I really, really like. This is where you can find the color trends for the different fields, for the different industries. So here we have fashion color palettes, graphic design, illustration, interaction. I'm gonna go maybe into interaction just because I know that they have some pretty good subtle tones here. I'm gonna go and view more. Maybe I can save. I really like this tone here, this beige color. Let's see. I want something that's almost like an off-white. So you can save this to your library or download as a JPEG. I'm gonna save it to my library. Okay, it's already saved to Julia Masalska, as you can see at the bottom. So now I have created a library that's called Julia Masalska, and this is going to be the library where I'm going to be putting all of the design elements so that we can create some assets tomorrow. So here I have the color, and all I have to do is I have the square selected, and I'm just clicking on that color. That might be an option. I'm gonna maybe create another one that's a little bit lighter. So I'm going in here and I'm going and moving the cursor just a little bit towards the white, maybe like that. So this is kind of the color that I actually wanted to achieve. Now let's take a look how the colors will look on top of each other. This is something that I really like doing. Is I want to take, let's say, an example. Let's say I want to create some kind of story or something. We're going to dive into that tomorrow, but I want to see how the colors are working, and maybe this is too dark or too light. So I want to experiment and see how my logos will look on that. So I'm gonna copy this into here, bring to front. Yeah, I feel like this works pretty well. Maybe a tad lighter, so I'm gonna go in here and pull it even further to white. I really just want it to be an off-white color, so it differentiates just a little bit from white, not quite, right? So I feel like this one works pretty well. And now I'm going to adjust this color in my color palette with the eyedropper. It's really not a big difference, but for me, it will make a difference in legibility, in placing my colors on top. It will really make a big difference. Okay, my friends, so now we have my logo, we have the shapes, we have the color palette. Let's create the library, and I'm going to remove this palette that we have used earlier because I want to keep it clean, and those are not really the colors that I'm going to be using anymore. So now I want to add all of the shapes, all of the logos, and all of the brand elements that I have created and I want to use in my branding. So let's start first with the colors. So I'm selecting the rectangle filled with the color that I want to use, and I'm clicking the little plus. By the way, I have created a library and I can also share it here with others. So I can invite people to collaborate on my library, which is also super fun. So I'm selecting the little plus sign. Hopefully you guys can see this at the bottom here, and I'm selecting fill color. So now my fill color is saved to my library, and the same thing I'm going to do to all of the other shades.
And you could do them all at once.
Oh yeah, that's
cool. If you select all 4 or however many.
Okay, let's see.
Then,
you can add them as graphic.
Wait.
Yeah, you can add them as a graphic, but not as a fill color.
I swear, maybe I didn't do it the other day. Silly me.
Okay. Yeah. Usually you have to kind of select, character style by character style or a shape by shape. If you have multiple graphics, though, I feel like you can save them all as graphic elements.
Yeah, I think that's what I did. As I hit added everything, and then I added the character styles, the colors. It was too much, by the way. This way is much better, but it added every element of, and even added it as a graphic. But yeah.
Okay, so you can see my library is coming together here, but now I have different elements, right? So some of them are colors, some of them, let's add this as a character style here as well. So some of them are character style, some of them are graphics. So what I can do now is I can view by group. This is what I want to select first, or I can view by type. Then I will be able to see the different colors, character styles, and graphics. I feel like this is a good way to divide it, but sometimes you have primary and secondary colors and so on. In this case, you can click the little folder sign here at the bottom to create a new group, and then you can group the elements even within the type. So let's say I have primary colors and I have secondary colors. So in my primary colors I have this green, and I can just pull it into the library, right? And then I will be creating another group that's called secondary. I mean, in this case, it's not very necessary just because I only have 4 colors. It's not a lot of colors. But sometimes it's useful to organize it even further, right? So yeah, I'm just pulling in basically all the graphics. I'm outlining them, pulling them in. So I have different variations of my logo, and I also have all the necessary character styles. And I had my body determined here as well. So it's going to be what was it? Forma DJI Micro. It has a really good compatibility with the bold version. So I might add that, and I might also add another character style later on, because I will be able to experiment with my social media assets a little bit more tomorrow. So I'll be able to see how the typeface actually works on social media assets. That's a very, very important part, to find the right typeface for that. But I'm gonna keep it like this for now, and I will be able to access my libraries tomorrow. And we're going to be creating some really amazing templates for my social media and for what is it that we're going to be creating here. We have some Instagram templates, and I'm going to create some YouTube templates for my YouTube channel where I'm posting the different videos, educational content, and so on. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. I'm excited to see how I can use these graphic elements tomorrow to be able to combine with images and so on, because I have some images that I want to use. I might select a couple more. I kind of do want to keep it colorful, so let's try this one out, maybe just to see how it works together. And I might even add this one as like a stamp version of my logo, so I can place it on top of colorful artwork like this one. So I can go ahead and just place something like that, and that will already be a branded photo, right? That could be kind of cool, interesting to play with. And maybe
And if you're using Spark and stuff like that, you have access to your library in Adobe Spark Post.
Yeah, totally. I can also create posts in Spark. There's some really great stuff that we can even take a look at that tomorrow, and maybe we can get some examples of how you can use Spark for your posts as well. There's some really cool things. Cool. I might want to add some certain elements as well to my library, so I'm just going to add the graphic. I might see myself placing the smiley quite often, so I'm just going to go in and expand. I want to expand it. Do you know how to? Oh, embed. Yeah, embed. This is what I wanted to do. Yeah. I just wanted to remove this little background here, so I can use just a smiley by itself. Yay! It's gonna be fun. I'm really excited to put together some assets tomorrow. This is where you actually get to see how your brand works, if it really works, you know, in combination with images and so on. So let's try this image here. That is kind of cool. You know what? Before starting the stream today, I had no idea that my brand colors will be this lime green and the purple. I had no idea. So I'm really excited to be able to apply these in the future. Okay, let me create a little clipping mask here, so I can see how that actually would work in a post. Make clipping mask. Oh, this is so cool! Oh my god, this is awesome. I'm really enjoying this, and also yellow works super well with the purple, because they're, you know, opposites basically. So that could be something cool. And then we can also explore how I can use transparency overlays. So maybe I can also make it a part of my brand. So let's say I have a rectangle that's like grayish color, and I want to put it. I'm gonna access my transparency settings, and I want to put it as a multiply maybe. So maybe this could be a part of my branding, right? Where I can kind of stylize all the images the same way, and then my logo will pop even more over here. So that could be something to think about tomorrow. But let's see, maybe if we change the colors here, no, black wouldn't do anything. Maybe like a lighter gray, or maybe like even like this could be also something interesting to play with. Or maybe it can be the green that that is our brand color, which I'm not sure if that's a good overlay, but you know, anything is possible. So yeah, it does kind of look weird, but let's see.
Nemesha asks if you're designing these in any particular size.
Oh, this is not really a design for now. This is just for me to see how the colors work, because I'm curious. I'm really curious about it. But usually we have amazing presets here, so you can access presets and in the, let's see here. So we have when we select the artboard tool, we can go in here and have a preset that we want to design for. Let's say we want to design for letter size. We have all the different iPhones, Apple Watch, all the different screen sizes, and that's pretty cool. And we also have some we will also have some social media presets in XD, which is going to be super cool and easy to kind of create an artboard. But usually if I'm designing for Instagram stories, I'm using, I believe 9:16, so it will be 1920 by 1080. Oh, okay. 1920. Oh, okay. That's because my artboard is on the edge. It doesn't let me make it way bigger. Let's put it further up here. But it's usually 1920 by 1080, and that's also the screen size. if you're designing for a screen, it's usually a large screen is 1920 by 1080. So it's also a very good size for presentations. So this is usually the size that I use to create for stories, and then for posts, you create basically the square version of this. So it will be 1080 by 1080.
Very
1080.
cool.
So that's all you need to know. 1080, the number is very important, and 1920 as a proportion to that. But usually just the proportion of I believe 9:16. Should be used.
Yeah, and since you have everything created at like vector based, it's as far as your library is concerned, everything's set up correctly. We are down to our last minute. Holy cow!
Yay! Oh my gosh!
And then I
can't believe
we did get some questions come through. I mean, guys, we were here the whole time, and then we get all these questions. But we'll be sure to answer them tomorrow as well. Somebody does ask if you used RGB or CMYK.
Oh, in this case, I use RGB because I'm designing for the web. My online presence is only online. I'm not printing anything currently. But if I will be using, let's say, my logo for print materials or anything like that, I would set up the file to CMYK, of course.
Very cool. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Well, thank you so much, Julia.
Yay!
I appreciate you. Feel free to say thank you to Julia, follow her on Instagram and all the places. But more importantly, we will be back tomorrow.
Same time, same place. Really excited about that. Gonna put together some assets based on what we've created today, and I'm really excited. And again, thanks everyone for all the support online, also on my Instagram. It has been so helpful to get all the feedback and all the information necessary to create this, because for me sometimes it's hard to see myself from another's perspective. So it's been really helpful.
Yeah, no, I think it's been helpful for me, for everyone. So stick around with us tomorrow. We got to go now. Thank you so much. You can see the schedule above. I'll just leave it with you guys. But join us tomorrow. We'd love it. Bring all your questions and your idea hats, because Julia's going to have some fun.
Yay!
All right, guys. Thanks so much. We will see you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye. Yay. Andrea is saying, look at those fancy transitions, because you have us like sliding through the screen. Oh yeah. Cool. Yay!
I have that. Let me turn this on.